Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot and very happy to be here today. I've got a fascinating guest, and that's kind of an understatement in this case. So, his name is Cyrus Parsa, and I'm going to bring him on the show right now. And I just want to say that I've started to read one of his books, and it's absolutely fascinating. So, I think this is going to be a real treat. So, Cyrus, welcome to the show. So, what I want to do here is really go first to your background, and we do have everything on my website. So, for those that are interested in following along, there's links also to both books, and I'll just basically run through your bio quickly, and then we'll just have you augment all of that. Okay. So,
Sure.
so stand by here. So Cyrus Parsa is the founder and CEO of the AI organization, a loyal guardian security and social programming institute. AI created to assist in making our society safer and better. So Cyrus has a bachelor's in international security and conflict resolution, a master's degree in homeland security. He's an expert on China and Iran affairs and has consulted on human organ trafficking, anti-terrorism, vulnerability, risk, asset assessment, emerging threats to governments, agencies, people, and organizations. He lived in the mountains of China, fighting monks as a youth, 20 years of hidden research and development, and has a network of thousands of both Chinese and Westerners, and has great insight into the threats we face from China, Iran, and Western interconnectivity. And I'm going to stop there. And basically, people that want to continue on your bio can, as I say, go to my website, projectcamelot.tv and projectcamelot.org or projectcamelotportal.com. They all go to the same place. So, Cyrus, welcome, and I'd love to have you talk about more about your background. And I want you to start off with the Chinese monks and what you did with them. How did if you got into meditation, etc., and maybe describe a bit of that, and also why did you end up in security?
Well, I went to China because I spent roughly about 14, 15 years studying martial arts or being interested in martial arts, but I never thought it was the real thing. So I went to, um, it wasn't really the mountains, but it was, maybe 3,000 feet up, and it was an ancient monastery location. Initially, they had shallow monks. I wasn't very impressed with them. They were fast, like you see in the movies, but it was something else other than that I was looking for. The reason why I went there is because for a whole year I was investigating all the research I had done for years prior to create a book to really alter the world and make it better and safeguard things that I thought in the future would happen that would maybe hurt a lot of people on the planet. So I went there within the first couple of weeks. I was doing, just like they have the normal martial arts, kicking and punching, but I got into Tai Chi. There was um, a Wudang monk there, but dressed like a normal person. And he started teaching me, got really interested. And the things he taught me were very interesting. There were Qigong and Wudang arts, and Tai Chi, Bagua, Pikawa, Baji. Within 2 weeks, I was able to experience and sense things that people would think that would be like in the movies or um, the X-Men sort of things. And prior to that, some people were saying that guy can beat up Bruce Lee, and I was like, come on, nobody can beat up Bruce Lee. But after doing what I was doing, I was, according to what he said, after 2 weeks, he said he's been doing it for 50 years, but within a couple of months, I'm going to surpass what he's done. And for the previous 15 years, I was just doing martial arts, football, basketball, tennis, my teenage years, also studying history and sitting down with people who know a lot about what's going on in the world. So, some couple of things I'll I don't want to go too deep because it's very hard for people to believe. But there's something in Chinese called the Lao Gong point. That opened up for me. And I could literally send what you call energy out of my palms, and I could move things from maybe 3 meters away, or even have someone go back. So I didn't understand at the beginning how this was possible. But one of the requirements was, he said, well, don't lose your essence, your energy. And I'm like, okay. I watched a movie, Rocky Balboa, and Mickey's like, woman, weaken legs. And I remember, okay, Mike Tyson always would say, oh, he lost because he lost his essence the night before. So I'm like, I didn't understand how these things worked, but by gut feeling, I knew what was going on. So I trained maybe 16, 18 hours a day, combat arts, also meditation. And prior to that, by myself, I had done certain meditations that I could feel things. So then something else opened up, which you guys would call the pineal gland. And I could see a lot of things, but I kept my mouth shut because I knew people wouldn't believe it, especially back then. So my senses became really good. If you watch, the movies about samurais, or even some people who can cut almost a speeding bullet and catch it, my senses became really, really keen. Like I could see and sense things better than maybe the most quickest animal could, a tiger or something. But I kept everything to myself. And I was there about 3 months, and there's a lot more things I could say that are 1,000 times more unbelievable than this. But other people who were doing this there, they didn't have these experiences, and I just kept my mouth shut. Went back to the U.S. I taught Tai Chi and martial arts, and I worked as a bouncer in a nightclub. And again, I was taking all these notes, and my goal was to write a book. And I went back to China again. I was there for about 5-6 months, and I experienced more things that are really beyond. How would you say? After the second time I was coming back, AI. People want to model the human brain with artificial intelligence to be able to see the future. That means they think with quantum AI, you can see the future. I can exactly explain how this works. It's very simple, actually. But the human brain is very powerful. When you open certain channels in the body, it connects to different areas, to your pineal gland, to all over different places. That you can actually become like a quantum machine. Every human being actually has that ability innately inside of them. But there's so many different requirements to be able to get to that. It's just so many things have to come into play. So in 2002, let's just say a lucid dream. I'm just going to say I had a lucid dream. And I saw a white guy become president or a leader of a country, and assume it's the U.S. Blonde hair and blue eyes, and tall, maybe 6'3", 6'4". And the whole world seemed like it was attacking him. And I was trying my best to get to him, to advise him about certain things. And then it was like a digital war, white against white, black against white. And at that time, I'm like, why would white be against white? Because generally white is not against white. And this was 2002. And then it led to something else. It was chaos all the streets. The whole world was in chaos. And then it was like a civil war almost. Then something with Iran, I saw on CNN, it was a nuclear thing. And then some other steps happened. I was trying to mirror this leader and trying to get to him, and I couldn't. Then 6.2 billion people died. And I saw some other things, let's say in this lucid dream, and I saw the steps afterwards. So it really frightened me in terms of the future. Like, what if what I saw is true? What if it's not true? I don't know. I finished a book called Better People, Better World. Actually, it was called Incomplete Humans, Incomplete World. The book to save and change a better world, but I changed to Better People, Better World. And there was a longer subtext, 800 pages and about 100 sub-chapters. Nobody will publish me. You have no degrees. Who are you? How can you talk about science and philosophy and geopolitics of everything and how the government should be run, all these things? But okay, fine. Go to school, BS and Master of Homeland Security, go to a PhD program. They lowered my grade because I wouldn't promote pedophilia, and they had all these sneaky little things promoting pedophilia. And 2016, I see Trump going up the escalator. I'm like, that's Trump? That's not the casino guy? Wait a second, that's the guy in my dreams. So I never paid attention to him. I knew he had like a TV show, never watched it either. So I'm like, wait a second. So I run up and I've investigated all these companies for like 20 years in China. So what if there's something to that dream? And I say, like people I know, even like devout Christians, I'm like, he's going to become the president. He's my dream. You're nuts, Cyrus. He's not going to become president. I'm like, okay, watch and see. And then he became president, and then I see things coming like what I saw in my let's say lucid dream. I'm not going to say some deeper things because it's hard for people to take these things. So, long story short, I formed the AI organization after I formed Lower Guardian, and I saw so many dangers and investigated over 1,000 companies, robotics, 5G, bioengineering, cybernetics, artificial intelligence, 500 Chinese, 600 Western, and everything that I found and the simulations that I found showed extinction patterns and codes for humanity in stages of the next 20 years. And they all stem from China and its interrelationship to big tech. So I discovered, let's just say, different things, not just investigating, but that there was something that was going to come into the White House to try to take out President Trump and Vice President Pence and conservative leaders around this country and injure the whole world. So I know, like, people in the Secret Service and CIA, they have a narrow way of looking at things, and they don't have too many people that can do certain things that I can do. They probably don't have anyone like that, actually. So I gave them a 5-page brief in the Secret Service, brief that I gave Secret Service and a Trump contact. And I coined it microbiota terrorism, MBT. Within microbiota terrorism, I said that China's working on microbiota drones, but also different things talk to me. I put it in a note. I couldn't tell them what it was, but microbiota terrorism covers, I said, poison delivery system they want to use in President Trump, and it's coming from China. And it was extracted from big tech. So within this, there's nanobot, there's viruses, there's drones, like the WIS Institute had robo-bees, dragonflies by Draper, which I put in the books, and right away they fly down to the West Coast, but I wasn't there. I was in D.C. And then they're like, "Oh, is this guy nuts? Or why is he coming at 2 a.m. in the White House?" But then I went to another Trump contact afterwards, and then the Secret Service backed off. I gave a whole list of things that the whole world is in danger of what needs to be done, and 3 or 4 steps were done. The 5th step wasn't done. So waiting, I'm like, Trump has so much incoming, just so I saw in my dreams, and I see the patterns. And the whole world is busy just fighting each other. And it's going to go to a certain point, and a lot of people are going to get hurt. So I gave the former director of CIA cover-ups something he can accept, like, because his brain works differently. I gave him a 62-page report, and it had charts, data, who the CEOs were, where the companies located, which Chinese companies. They're creating machines, robotics, assassination systems, human targeting systems with not only just robots and drones, bioengineering, cybernetics, and that it threatened all the world's people. And his jaw dropped because he paid me just a few $1,000s, a few thousand, because I could have asked for 50 for one company, and I gave him 41 companies, and I asked him for loyalty. And somehow he forgot to mention my name in the reports he gave to the military that mobilized the military. And he didn't mention all the sighting where everything came from. But he thought this is going to change the world. It's the most amazing thing he's ever seen. Actually flew down and even met me. We'll put that aside. So then I wait. I'm like, okay, I think China's figured out Trump's got him by the tail, and he's cutting off their legs. So they know it's not just about a trade war. So then I published AI Trump China and the Weaponization Robotics of 5G. This is like a 10,000-page book compressed into maybe 160 pages. You need a quantum machine to figure out what it actually means, the inner meanings. But the cover itself actually covers the virus that's happening today, all the things that are happening, even the digital ID, all the stuff with Bill Gates and everything. It's actually in the cover. just to cover itself. And a lot of people were calling me stupid, making fun of me on social media, everybody almost actually. So AI, Trump, China, and a weaponization of robotics 5G. So that is George Washington. It's actually a picture from the museum. When you go to Washington, D.C., you will see that image, and it's got George Washington's head. What I did was put President Trump's head. This is not only to depict the future, but also to inform him what he needs to do. Because the White House was behind, very behind. They weren't looking at these things in the way they should have, because they're just getting all the incoming. So this represents the Constitution, and who leads it is President Trump. And this smartphone represents how people are connected on the 4G networks and they're being programmed. On the 5G networks, they will be biodigitally social programmed to accept cybernetics and robots.
I just want to say that, and I think you can hear me, but at any rate, I want to have you explain what you're talking about bio. You know, you're putting bio with the AI. So when you describe bio AI, how would you describe it?
So I describe it as biodigital social programming to the human biodigital network. And that's very deep. So biodigital social programming, bio stands for your cells, your DNA, your blood, your bones, your skeleton, even the skin receptors in your hairs, everything that makes a physical body. Digital is a little different. Digital stands for your neural networks, your nervous system, your digital field, your digital image. As scientists just believe you have a digital image. The atheists generally don't. And then if you have a faith, if you believe in God or a religion, then it also stands for your soul or your spirit or even your consciousness. And social stands for your social media, which includes Twitter and Facebook and so on. And also your social network, but also very, very important, it stands for your emotions, because human beings are manipulated mostly through their emotions, and programming is programming. So biodigital social programming, as it interconnects with machines, Internet of Things, smartphones, robots, the ecosystem of the internet, and then how that can affect people through the human biodigital network, through biodigital fields and biomatter, which is just, it would take me hours to describe each single one of these.
All right. Well,
And how everyone,
let me ask you this:
yes.
would you say carbon, for example, we're carbon life forms, and everything digital is silicon, right? Correct. So when you're emphasizing bio, you're really emphasizing the carbon life form. Is that correct?
You could say that, and the digital is anything that can go through not only the molecular dimension, but it can go to quantum realms and even get to the atomic realms
Actually,
and
okay,
neutrinos and quarks.
then that's very good that you said that, because I want to talk to you about Geordie Rose and his D-Wave machine and what you think about his claim that his D-Wave not only could read his mind, but it could also go 5D.
Never heard this gentleman or his
You're
theories.
kidding.
But,
Okay, that's because the military are using,
oh,
this is their most advanced quantum, basically AI, and it's called the
oh,
D-Wave machine.
so here's the thing. Most people get their research from reading other people's stuff. I actually didn't read any books in the past 20 years, other than one book. I haven't even done any research on anyone's works at all, not even one person. What I did was investigate these companies, and I used certain biometric tools that the Pentagon doesn't even have. And that's why I was able to find exactly what everyone has. So people will bring up this name and this name. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it means. So the human body has enough power and ability to be able to reach the quantum realms. But what these scientists want to do is put machines in you and mix you with artificial intelligence to be able to do that, because they don't know how to make the human body have that ability.
That's absolutely correct. So, and actually, in essence, the monks also know this. I don't know whether you got to that level of discussion with them, but I want to also ask you if you linked all your chakras and reached samadhi. Do you know what I'm talking about with that?
So yeah, that I do know. So in the second time I went back, I at some point I could connect and read millions of people's thoughts in matters of seconds, and even the thoughts of all animals. This was 2002, and I had this wish, like it's hard to explain, but you know, I reached certain levels, but then I started a different discipline, and in 2002, and by 2009 my brain can compute billions of things in under a second. When I would sit in full lotus and all these channels would open up and go into my pineal gland and everywhere else, it would be thousands of channels. So what Elon Musk wants to accomplish, I can do that myself to certain degrees. And so basically, you can see what happens if one person does something in a chain of reaction to your entire planet and how it affects billions of things in literally 1 to 2 seconds. But right now I'm sitting with you, I can't do that. But it takes time, and it can, you have to be, you have to open the channels. When you do, your face changes, all it becomes rosy and full of color, and even because even your bones can look a little different because when you're sitting, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. We're made from molecules from what you see, but everything is an emotion. So you can actually alter the way you look a little bit as well. And you can look younger, you can look a little older. Of course, you're limited by this dimension and you need sleep. So I've been working 20 hours a day, 21 hours a day at a very, very fast rate because I saw huge dangers to every person on the planet. And I don't have the power to save anybody. I'm not some, how do you put it? Every human being can have my ability. We're just all made in the image of gods. So, of God, or God, whatever you want to say, angels, whatever it may be. So, but what I learned in China, it just took me to another step. And then I did something else, and then it took me a lot more steps. And if the more I say it, the more people will think you're nuts. But here's the thing: these AI scientists, they're talking about the same things. They want to ask artificial intelligence, "Are you God?" That's what Elon Musk said, right? He wants to find out what the simulation is. So, getting back to this book, why I did this, because I saw great dangers and I wanted to bring this attention. And after I gave this report to former CIA director, cover ops, and then when I did this book, I think people in the Department of Homeland Security that I know gave it to CIA officials, high ranking, and it went straight to the White House. And within 2 or 3 weeks, President Trump was sitting down with the Prime Minister of Australia, and he says China threatens all the world's citizens. Exactly what I was saying, and it was in my reports. And then he turns over and says, "You do robotics too, right?" And boom. But they just thought I meant robotics because they look at this and they didn't get the whole picture. So I'm trying to get media to pick me up. The world's in danger, China, big tech, and no one's listening. So then I wait and wait. Then I finally published this book, which already has the AI book, this AI Trump inside of it, because most conservatives didn't really get it, and liberals were just hating on it. They absolutely were just attacking me with vileness. So, and I'm like, I did this for everybody. Okay, so I published this, Artificial Intelligence Changing Humanity. Prior to this, there were people in the media I took this to, and they were good people. They were stealing everything and going to the neocons in Washington and other media and using my stuff, but not telling it came from me. Just like they saw my research and then they'd go find open source and just say the same stuff in a different way. And I did this for altruism. So they really, really not damaged not only my report, but also the people who were behind me, people in the Secret Service that were with the Secret Service for years, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, universities. Not everything came from me. I had help on the way. Okay, so they did that, and also wherever I tweeted and whoever was looking at it, even generals that I met, they start using this stuff and got money from the think tanks. They're from East Coast and West Coast. So I don't even have time to try to get money and try to do any contracts because I see there's so much danger coming to every single person on the planet. So I'm trying my best. Please, media, pick me up. Nobody picks me up. So I published Artificial Intelligence Changing Humanity, and this has 50 of the most important companies I put in there and how they threaten all the world's citizens, and it's got the AI book in there. And I put in there how I warned the White House about plots to take out President Trump. with microbiota terrorism, which includes this virus, and Vice President Pence, and conservative leaders to shift, and it was coming from China. So anyway, people thought I was a little off. So as soon as I published this, with people that I knew that are Chinese, a lot of them, took a lot of my information and even got to the AI department in China, of Trump's. They didn't know it was coming from me. And then they're like, oh, yeah, CCC bad, AI bad. And then they made an announcement. China threatens all the world's people with AI, robotics, bioengineering, da 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 da. So, but almost all of it came from me. But I put it aside, and I was working really, really hard. I'm like, okay, what do I do? The world's in danger. No media will take me up. Content creators are stealing my stuff or just avoiding me. Even so-called patriots that have huge Twitter accounts, I'm asking, please help. They won't. So
okay. So, but I have to say that the reason they might not have helped you is possibly because they're either afraid, or they've been told not to, or they also don't understand. So there's that, and they're very suspicious, right? So everyone's suspicious of everyone. And my witness, Mark Richards, said that at this time, generals are actually suspicious of other generals and the information coming in because they can't trust where it's coming from. Because there are, he says, 6 alien AIs invading our Earth at this time. And he said that actually about 6 months ago or more. And so there might even be more than that now. And on top of it, I have another witness that says we have 9 human-derived, basically reverse engineered, probably from alien tech, but whatever, human AI, 9 of them versions. So are you aware of that? And I mean, you're operating on a very high level. I can see that already. And there's a lot of government remote viewers, for example, who would also tap into that. And I don't know if you're in touch with them. So I know I put a lot into those questions, but if you can sort of talk about, the fact that we've got competing AIs out there. So it's not just all one AI, but they're trying to make it a one world AI. But can you talk about that? Because I know we're jumping ahead, but my audience and I are quite, I talk to my audience all the time about AI. So, it's always in my work. Obviously, I don't have your depth of understanding, but so it'd be great to hear more from you about what you think about all what I just said.
Yeah. So the reason why I did the lawsuit, because nobody would help, and I'm trying to help everybody. And so I had the lawsuit to bring mass awareness to everybody. And I wanted to serve these guys to bring mass awareness to them, because they're off, all those people on the list. And it also broke a digital field that's surrounding so many things with competing AIs that are moving in such a fast way that's imperceptible to the human brain for almost everybody on the planet. And this includes the Pentagon, because the Pentagon is using technology that comes from machines. That being said, the human beings behind these machines are generally using 3 or 4 or 5% of the brain power. They go home, they have emotions, they drink, they don't have these channels open, so they can't even perceive things. They can only go by their machines. So I'll get into this in part 2 if you want to have me on, because this is going to really deep, and I don't want to cause alarms with certain things. So, but I have something coming out, like a disclosure coming out in 2 days. It's going to explain certain things. But so I sued Facebook, Neuralink, Google, Alphabet, Elon Musk. I sued Sergey Brin, Larry Page, and also PR Newswire for taking away my press releases that was trying to say the world's in danger, every person is in danger from China and big tech. And the reason why I did these was not just to expose them to themselves, because they don't realize what they're doing. They're just like little ant guys fulfilling something. So again, a lot of people actually support that lawsuit. Every person on the internet almost took bits of it and retweeted it, and nobody knew it came from me. I have 500 followers. I'm asking for donations. Please give me donations so I can service these guys. And I have 29 John Does. 2 or 3 months, nobody's helping me. And I'm begging people. One person just retweeted it for me because I chose that person because I knew they'll be able to accept certain things. But nobody gets what I'm doing. Well, we don't care about China. We care about censorship. I'm like, this involves everything. You don't get it. You don't get it. So trying to get on shows, nobody gets me on. And then one person helps me after I kind of make him understand after a couple months and gets me on a couple of shows. And then that gets me on a couple other shows, which was John B. Wells, and I talked about the prophecy that I saw in his show, and Red Pill 78 got me in his show, and there was a few other people. Then I got on SGT Report and then X22. So in Red Pill, I talked about certain things that were metaphysical because it was really appropriate for his platform. But when you talk about certain other things in other platforms, they won't accept it. So you have to try to make people understand to what they can understand and accept.
Okay, but what purpose is your lawsuit going to serve? In other words, is it going to go to a court, do you think? I mean,
it did go to a court. So then I released the names, which includes Obama, Clinton, Biden. So it was three levels. So there was a spiritual plane or the AI plane that you talk about, right? But at the first plane, it brings exposure that, whoa, all these things are dangerous for you. And you see, it ties in everything. It's 87 pages, and everything you're dealing with, past, present, and it's emerging in the future. And the lockdown is in the freaking lawsuit and in my books. So then the second thing is, whoa, these guys did these things, and these are the penal code, and this is how it's connected to this law, and city, state, national, international levels. What do they do to us? What? They're programming us through AI coding, AI algorithms, and manipulating us while we're on Twitter and Facebook and Google and the media. And it's completely rehardwiring our brains, and we don't even know it. And it's through proximity sensors as we're engaging with these smartphones and the AI systems. And when we go on 5G system, we're going to lose our free will. What does this mean? Oh, well, it leads to human trafficking and sex trafficking. They're reading this 87-page lawsuit, and they go to my book and the articles and the videos. Then it's kind of clear. And they look at what's happening around the world, the lockdown, the virus. Whoa. All this makes sense. How the hell did he know all these things? But that was the level 2, because it puts these people in check when they see, whoa, we're being sued and we're being exposed. So Microsoft, Bill, I forget his name, Bill, what's his last name, the gentleman? I always forget his last name. Yes. Okay. He stepped down within 2 weeks of me naming him, right? But I'm asking for donations to serve them before lockdown because I know the lockdown is coming, and nobody's giving me donations. I ran out of my money. I ran out every cent. And when I sued Google the first time, almost every person I knew scared off, backed away. And there were so many competing AIs coming after me, and because they knew what I was trying to do. So that's all I said. That's all I'm going to say for now. So long story short, lockdown happens, and then I get on X22, and now it's too late to serve these guys, but they're not the enemies. There's something else. It's an invisible enemy.
Okay, wait, right there. So there's an invisible enemy. I want to hear more about that invisible enemy. So you think it goes, I mean, obviously, I go into areas have to do with the aliens and so on. Are you talking about that, or are you talking about something else?
I'm talking about something that I want to disclose maybe in 48 hours. It's something different, very, very deep. And it's something maybe hard to describe in this, but there's so many planes of this. It's not just the spiritual dimension. Why are we sitting in our homes? Why were we complicit to 20 years of fallen alpha practitioners?
Well, I want to ask you that. Now, I want to bring this down to the CV. I use the abbreviation because of censorship. So you know what I'm talking about when I say CV19, for example. So what I'm asking is, you knew about the lockdown before it happened. Did you see this situation that we're in right now? In other words, you say you see a lot of the future, but I'm wondering, did you see this exact situation with the virus and sort of the way it started? And do you know that it's a bioweapon? Do you consider it a bioweapon, or do you consider it part of this AI? In other words, is there an AI component to the virus or so-called virus?
Well, in my book, I put that there is a virus that's engineered by artificial intelligence before it happens.
Right. And I have heard that. So you believe that that's the case in this case, right?
Well, I wouldn't have printed it in August and then reprinted it in October if I didn't know what it was and what's coming. And so there's other components to it too. So we're really at fault for this. Humanity is never protected when it loses righteousness and it loses the standard of being humanity. So it's, if you look at every civilization that we've had that's been destroyed, according to the ancient writings of the Sumerians, the Persians, the Vestans, the Indians, Bhagavad Gita, um, the American Indians, the oral language, and the Chinese and the Japanese and the Greeks and the Christians and the Book of Genesis and so on and so on and so on. All of them talk about a time where there was some type of Star Wars, but there was a time that people's morals went down, and they talk about all kinds of sexual orgies and pedophilia and killing and eating cannibalism, all kind of different things. If you look at our society, Hollywood has been doing that, and Hollywood got infiltrated in the 1940s, and it got into people's brains, and the new generation has got that, and this got into our every agency that we have. I don't just mean intelligence agency, but the people's values were changed from Cinderella, as I put in my other interviews, or Gone with the Wind type of people, to what we have today. And people have been hurt. The human race has been hurt. They've been hurt really bad. Every person, they don't understand. They've been hurt really, really bad. It's really, really complex, yet it's simple. So what we need to do at the moment is really repent and look inside. Why were we complicit in all these camps in China for 20 years? Why did we do business with the Chinese government for 20 years? And then if we've hurt other people, like our loved ones, our spouses, and if we've cheated people, if we've stolen things, and if we've slandered other people, if we're negative, we should just repent. Why? Because this creates a chain of reaction to an entire world. Whoever has negative things that they do to other people, it just cycles. But because we have 7 billion people and it's connecting to artificial intelligence on the 5G networks, mobilizing machines, drones, robotics, bioengineering, cybernetics, this negativity will alter humanity and extinct everybody in stages. So Elon Musk wants to put a chip in your head and to tap into things that I tapped in for 20 years, and he still won't be able to get to what I got. And he wants to cheat the system. He wants to download things to your brain, and you just be a vegetable sitting like this, and connecting to augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. I can build his AGI for him like that. It would take me maybe, just give me the machines, and I can tell you what to do, and I can build you an AGI really, really fast. And then that could lead to artificial intelligence. But I would never do that. And some of the things I can't even do. I can't even change my tire. I have to look at it on YouTube. But other things, when it comes to neural networks, nervous systems, and augmented reality, mixed reality, and alternate reality, the things that they're working with, and they don't really understand 100% themselves. People think like Elon Musk is really smart, and Google guys are really smart, and even Einstein, but they're not wise. Einstein was actually kind of wise, but when it comes to Elon Musk and these Google CEOs and Bill Gates, they're really stupid, dumb as a rock. Why would you? I'm sorry. Why would you do business with China and you put your stuff in China? First of all, you're helping people committing atrocities by giving them surveillance systems, facial recognition, voice recognition.
Okay, now there's no
human
doubt about
targeting.
that. So let me
Right.
talk to you a little bit about Huawei and why the British held on to their tech, their Huawei tech. In other words, the United States was smart enough, or at least our regime, the Trump regime, was smart enough to block Huawei from our country. But they still allowed it in Britain. And you know that basically the NSA and the its complementary or agency in Britain are linked. All right, they're totally linked, and so Huawei has probably infiltrated our networks, like our intelligence networks, etc. Now, are you warning them about that? Because now, just recently, I think now Britain is backing away from Huawei. Even, they didn't even want to get rid of their equipment, which is really stupid. So I mean, I'm totally on board with you on that. But this is how the AI was going to get into our country. But it appears that it came in through it's not Menwith Hill, it's you know what I'm talking about, GCHQ. So GCHQ and NSA are completely linked. Are you aware of that?
So let me backtrack to the beginning of your first question. So because it's interconnected. What happened with the UK? So I come out with all these reports, right? And then I come with the concept of a quantum digital AI brain that connects to the 5G networks, that connects to Huawei, that mobilizes drones, machine robotics, facial recognition, voice recognition, nanobots, all these microbots that can rule the whole world. And I'm sending all these articles as well. Even I'm tweeting to President Trump. I'm tweeting to Secretary of State, every major person that's connected to him. They know. And they never put all this stuff together, and they're having the Pentagon look at it, the CIA is looking at it, and they're like, okay, can they really do this? And then the stuff I get to the CIA and Secret Service before that, the former director of CIA cover-ups. So all that information is already available, and we have a constitution, and President Trump is really, really on it, right? But when it comes to the UK and Boris, he was fighting for power and try to solidify his power, and he kind of couldn't. There's Brexit involved, and there was interconnection with all these countries. And so although we had deals with China, Trump was able to break that apart. But there were so many financial ties that are worth billions and trillions in the future that were linked with Huawei, because Huawei through China and an interconnection of multiple different companies like Facebook Plus and SenseTime and Tencent and so many different iCarbon X and so many different Chinese companies, they had embedded themselves to every European nation and linked it to the UK and France. So President Trump is having his people fly down when they're meeting and talking privately or saying, hey, get rid of Huawei. And they're like, okay, fine. They come down and make it narrow. But they don't get they're not sophisticated in the government of UK to understand these concepts. So right before the lockdown, I'm giving somebody who talks to him. I'm giving that message. I'm like, you need to show him these articles and these videos I've done about Google and Huawei and my book and get him to completely cut it off. He doesn't. But as soon as a virus hits him, starts choking him, and he has a different thought. Okay, I need to get rid of Huawei. So it's the greed. I don't mean he's greedy, but there was interconnection of pressure on Boris that he couldn't do it. He couldn't win. But President Trump, no matter how much pressure that came on this guy, like I put in my first book that he had a digital field. No matter how much pressure it came on him from the rogue entities in our intelligence community hunting him, the media being mobilized to hunt him, just the average citizen being mobilized to hunt our president and our constitution, he was able to withstand all these bullets and all these arrows. And not only because there's something protecting him, but the guy has a strong will. I mean, he was destined to be where he is, and that's why I put him the way I did. But that's all interconnected because we have people in the NSA and the CIA and Secret Service and the FBI. A lot of them are hardworking. Some of them understand these things in a really good way, but not all the way. Some understand a little bit. But a lot of them are new generation people. They go to schools and they get that teaching from their school, and they go into intelligence communities. And they can only understand what they've been taught and what they can believe. And a lot of their thinking has been in line with our media like CNN and MSNBC and different things. So they're not going to have the ability to be able to counter these things. So fortunately, President Trump at the moment has good military around him and fairly good advisors, but AI, they've been really, really behind, and the 5G system. So as I said in my videos, my books, in the articles, 5G is made for machines, not for human beings. It is not good for you. It's not healthy for you. So I put out articles and videos about the COVID-19, but it wasn't causing this virus. And even the interviews I had over 2 months ago, what I said is that because these frequencies and the radiation are so powerful, and the millimeter waves, and then so many towers are close by, that when it hits your nervous system or your electrical field and your skin receptors, it actually alters and morphs your cells. It weakens your immune system and hurts your DNA. As soon as that happens, if you have a flu, it can become really bad. If you had a vaccine even 30 years ago, that will start replicating inside of you and become stronger. If you have 20 vaccines, even more. So when you have this virus, and I put in early February, that's a mutating virus that replicates. That means it's a bioengineered, replicating, mutating virus, reinforced by 5G frequency. So basically, 5G is made for machines. It's a military weapon. So when these are around your family and you've been exposed to this and you're not showing positive, your immune system will go down and it can replicate. You can actually get the virus or test positive and die a lot quicker. Albeit our 5G system is safer, not safe, healthier, not healthy, than China's crap, the Huawei they had. And that's why a lot of people died faster. But the virus is deadly. Don't get me wrong. It's not just a normal virus that you get the flu. It's pretty damn strong. It affects other people differently. It affects white people versus Asians, versus blacks, and the Middle Easterners. So Italians and Middle Easterners, they have a lot of Mongolian blood and Arab blood in them. So it affects them differently, and the Chinese differently, because most of them are just Han, or a mix of Mongolian Han or Manchurian or Yin, or so many different ethnicities they have. So, but again, it's still deadly for every race. It's regardless of what you are.
But that complete sense, if you look at the empty hospitals and you look at the, also we have a very important doctor. His name is Cameron Kyle Siddell. And he came forward saying, he works in critical care in New York City, and he was coming across people that really had, elevation sickness. They didn't need ventilators. Ventilators made it worse. And so the bottom line is there's something else going on here, which is not a normal so-called virus, which if you look at Robert Young's work, you maybe don't know him, Dr. Robert Young, and others, Dr. Cowan, for example. Now I'm getting a whole list of them who realized that Louis Pasteur even said that his so-called germ theory was wrong toward the end of his life. And so in essence, we don't really have viruses per se. We have a reaction within our body that expels poison, acidic poison, in response to something unhealthy, and also inside our bodies as well as outside our bodies. So the trouble is that this bioweapon has to have, I believe, an AI component that is actually triggering, some people to die, but most people. Actually, I don't even think they're even dying. And the intention was to have a lot more people die, and it's not working. So what do you say to that?
Yeah, the intention was to have a lot of people to die. A lot of people to die. And I can't tell you on this interview there's so many things that are really hard to believe, that how people are being protected in other ways. But it is a virus, don't get me wrong. Just because some hospitals are empty, it doesn't mean other people are not really sick. Some people get really, really sick with this virus and die. So it is a combination of things. It's not just, it's a real virus. Don't think it's not a real virus. So I'm not saying everyone should be sitting in their homes, but I'm also not saying everybody should be outside their homes and not social distancing. There's a combination of the two at the beginning, because it really is it's a virus semi-plague, but it doesn't mean it's going to kill every person. It doesn't mean every person will actually be sick from it. Some people will die from it, and some people will get really sick from it. But there's other components to it. So if you have everyone sitting in their homes and they get restless, then there are going to be riots in the streets. And cops come in, there could be shootings. There could be civil war. it'd be so many different things. It's just so many different planes that we could talk about in this talk, and I don't want to get
All
too
right.
deep
Well, I
because then
mean, you have to understand that I've done a lot of broadcasts, where I'm talking about all this, and I can see that this is organized. This was planned in advance.
yes,
So they wanted people to
yes,
separate. They wanted people to sit in their homes, but it's not. I
yes,
don't believe it's because of the virus. The virus is not contagious. It's not even a virus, but you'd have to get into immunology and virology and all of that, and we don't have time for that right now. So, but I understand that you seem to perceive that there are other levels to this so-called virus, and I understand that some people are getting sick and dying, but they're also almost without exception, they have what you call underlying causes that are
yes.
already
So,
aggravated. And then there's the link up to 5G, which seems to
so
escalate everything, as you said. You said just earlier. So anything you
yeah.
have wrong with you, it basically can trigger, especially if you've been vaccinated. And it does, they have been tracking that and finding that a lot of people getting sick from the virus have had vaccines for the so-called flu, et cetera, whatever kind of vaccine they had in the past. So that makes sense. It's now triggering that vaccine to replicate, et cetera. But there's something else going on completely here.
I don't want to get into that at the
All right.
moment. I want to answer that
And
question.
I do want my audience to understand that in advance we talked that was
How about
some things you can answer and some things you can't. Some things have a matter of timing, and we also want to make sure you stay safe.
that question you want to ask, please don't
All
ask
right.
that at the moment. Just wait a few
All
days,
right.
because then you may cause some havoc by doing that, and by even posing that kind of question and even getting an answer from me. You actually will cause havoc. So I recommend you don't ask that question. But for now, but it's not just that, okay? People, it's a real virus as well. It's all interconnected things. It's an engineered virus that actually spreads. But a lot of people who have died, they died because they had a heart attack as well, or they were sick from something else. So if you have a flu, and any kind of virus flu, and you're gonna die anyway. So and then so if you died from your bone broke, let's say COVID, yeah, that component exists. So maybe 30,000 people died from COVID in the U.S., but maybe it was only 10,000 that actually died from COVID, and it was underlying stuff for 20,000 that was. But let me put this straight. For China, a lot of millions of people died in China. I put an article that why are 21 million phones missing? It was a combination of people dying from the virus, 5G system reinforcing those things as well, but also the military killing you because they thought you had the virus and it's contagious, and throwing you in crematoriums even while you're half alive. I
All
did all
right. Now,
these
are
things,
you
but I want to.
aware that of what was called the Chinese Party whistleblower who came out and they
Yeah.
wiped his testimony off the internet? But I actually saved a copy, and it's on my website. Are you aware of that Chinese Party whistleblower? His testimony saying there were actually two viruses, and one was a cover for the other in China.
It's a multiple viruses, and it's mutating viruses. That means when it mutates, you not only have one virus, you have multiple viruses everywhere around the world. And so when you have a plague hit humanity, it becomes multiple different things, and it moves from humans to animals to objects from whatever you touch. That being said, a wise person taught me something, and I concur 100% with this. For every illness, 30% is real illness, and 70% is your mind. So if you're afraid of it, it'll kill you. So you should be cautious of any virus, especially this one, but you shouldn't be afraid. Wash your hands, social distance a little bit, sure, but do not be afraid. Don't be afraid of this or other stuff that's going to be seen to you in the near future as well. And here's the thing: if we have a righteous field and a righteous mind, and we elevate ourselves, not only just prayer is not going to work. People who actually pray a lot, Christians and Catholics. If you read your book, it says repent first, then pray. In the history, a lot of people start praying and they get killed. Why? Because deep down inside, they didn't repent. They didn't change their heart. So we really should repent, because why? Fallen off a Christian Tibetan Uyghurs, 20 years put in camps, killed. No one talks about it. No one says, oh, we helped that. We should repent for that, but repent for if we hurt anybody. This is very, very serious, because I didn't come out. I could have just sat home and kept on drinking my tea and or make contracts and made money and not invest everything I had and work almost 20 hours a day. And when I ran that Google lawsuit, I'll tell you in my next interview, but it was a lot of pressure on me, and it just wasn't about a lawsuit. It's just huge. And then releasing it's not like President Trump doesn't know. It's not like they don't know. It's not all the world leaders that don't know and they didn't read all those things. It was mind blowing for a lot of people, but it shows everything that's happening today. But so if you see that I was right in all these things, please believe me in this. Don't be afraid, and truly repent. And we, including myself, we need to improve ourselves, become better people, to be kinder, to be more forbearant and righteous, and have a stronger will, because we are made in the image of a higher power. We are made to be noble people. We are special people, very, very special people. Every person on the planet, almost every person, 99% of them, maybe let's say all human beings on the planet, they're very, very special. And they have a special origin. And in the future, things will be revealed, and there will be a glorious civilization for humanity. But in the interim, it's a little bit dangerous. And we should all support each other and be kind. And yeah, so
Okay.
even now, after, yeah, so let me give you an example. So there are big leaders that have Twitter accounts. I warned them about the virus, so they stopped saying it's a hoax, because it wasn't a hoax. And they could have got their Twitter accounts, taken off. I was trying to help them. They didn't listen. And then they listened. But then when I asked them, retweet my stuff, hey, people programmed to attack Trump, the video article, they won't do it. Please retweet the lawsuit. It's going to prevent the lockdown to be what it is. It's going to change it. They won't do it. And even today, when they see I'm right, now they're actually taking robot little images and videos, and oh yeah, people are programmed, and they're doing that. So it's like, if the left is so bad, and I pointed out the left, why are conservatives doing that and stopping the person that's trying to bring so much stuff that still hasn't disclosed, and has seen everything that was on mark, and is still like plagiarizing or stealing? You want support. Why? Well, that means that person is getting some kind of order from above, or the components of a person's jealousy and ego and pride and wanting fame gets controlled by the AI system. That's what I put it. Humanity is being controlled like mice on the AI grid, and they don't see it. Its entire play, from Pelosi going after Trump and Schiff, it was all a design. It was all destined. It was a cause and effect. And they're all being controlled. Pelosi is actually being controlled to go after President Trump. No matter if you look at her facial recognition and voice recognition, you scan inside her brain and the neural networks, the actual design of her brain is just like it's like an attack cat or dog to go after Trump. No matter what he says, no matter what he's right about, even if the stake of half the population on the planet has to do, that person is programmed that way. They say, okay, let's remove Trump. Let's remove Pelosi. Let's remove Bill Gates. Let's remove Elon Musk. Whoever gets in that position will be corrupted like that, because that's been the nature of humanity. Even if it's conservative, they'll say, oh, these guys are bad. They're horrible. They're the cabal. Which they're still right. They are the cabal. But as soon as they get in those positions, they're doing the same stuff. They're doing it to me.
Yes.
Behind the scenes.
Okay.
So
I
it's
agree
like,
completely.
So that's at fault. The human race is at fault. We wouldn't be where we are today if we were good, honest people that don't slander and say negative things and try to sabotage other people.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so,
but at this point, I want to get into your book, actually, because we're not really dealing with the topics that you are an expert in. And so what I'd like to do is, and I don't know why I have this weird echo in my head, but you're not listening to the show in the background on another computer or anything. You don't have it running, do you? Oh, okay. Okay, I've got your the index from the first book and the list of stuff there, and it's so there's so much there that I want to run down it quickly and have you sort of give short explanations so that people understand what your book is dealing with. Okay, so I'm going to show that.
The White House to be able not to buy it from Amazon, but they can look at all the subtext so they can figure the general picture out, but not everything. And I have people in the Secret Service in the 40 years of Secret Service, FBI look at it, and there were special task force like, this is really, I mean, it's mind blowing, but they couldn't figure things out. So that's why you need to read this book, because this AI Trump, the one we're going to read about, it's inside of artificial intelligence humanity. Read that because it actually discloses the company in a step process. Then it's got this book inside of it. Then it goes to the end. So, but sure, because this book cover has the main things, but it doesn't have my report, what I gave to the White House, how I did it, and what I, go ahead. So go ahead, ask your questions.
A general idea about what's going on here. And so I'm just going to flip through a couple pages. So you've got the microbiotic terrorism, assassination, and espionage using biometric software, insect drones, dragonflies, mosquito drones, robo-bees, cyborg beetles, bat bots, and even octopus robotics, right? Then you talk about smart cities, and then you get into the China. I mean, it really, the way you write about this is China is going absolutely crazy, but they're also bouncing off the West. So our own government is very involved in all this research, apparently, right? Okay.
Yes.
And so then you're talking about, we know about China's theft because, and it's interesting how focused they are in stealing from us. I'm not so sure that we are so focused on stealing from them as they are stealing from us. What is that dynamic? Is it because they are so into a hive mind that they just don't have the creativity to come up as easily with a different approach?
It's because of communism. Communism makes everyone's thoughts uniform. It doesn't give them freedom, and it makes the people of China almost vile. I've lived there a year. I have 1,500 friends, Chinese numbers in here who I've had experience with for 20 years, and they always tell me, we're really good at lying. We're professional liars, and I know they're lying. I mean, the facial recognition will look at you and they'll think they're telling you the truth, and they'll do things that 10 years down the line can affect things. And that comes not from communism. It actually comes from their history of dynasties, Sun Tzu art of war, Confucianism, and introvertedness. But the Chinese communist regime ruined the family ethics, ruined Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, Confucianism, all these different moral ethic principles that were in their society that gave them, hey, don't cheat people, be honest. It was gone out the window. So with communism and 1.5 billion people that not enough goods or food and they're fighting for jobs and power, well, they become corrupt. So they were really good at coming to the US and say, how are you doing? And making friends, stealing everything through IP theft, collaboration, studying under professors, making friends with professors who got them to give information to China or other countries that got into China, and also through tech mergers, but also forced tech transfer. Forced tech transfer is this. You go to China, hey, I want to do business here. It's great. There's a sign here. Here's $10 million. Oh, yeah, I'm happy. But you got to give us your goods. What do you mean by that? Well, we want to know how you built the software and this hardware and the patent knowledge is still yours. You own it. But we need to have it for our safety because it's a national security. Some BS like that. But they'll have you sign it so that they know how to duplicate it. While they're using your company, you don't know, but the Chinese government and other corporations had just built 20 companies around that company with the same thing in China. So you have millions of AI researchers and biotech companies working and building the same stuff. And these guys are mixing people with animals and chimeras and monkeys, stem cell, all kinds of things. They don't have any moral ethics. And they're trying to build clones and all kind of stuff, which we had in Europe. And there's secret places in South America and even I wouldn't say America anymore, but they're working on it. There's robots and machinery, and of course, our military. I've never looked in our military because I'm a U.S. citizen, and I don't want to look into what they have, but I already know what they have because I know where it comes from, and our country is protected over any other country. We have the most powerful military on the planet. There are things that we have that are not known. But there are certain things that we have that was stolen by China that makes China a little bit very powerful. So China needs to be exposed and taken out non-materially very, very soon before they reach artificial general or super intelligence. When they do that, they can take out everybody. And if our country reaches artificial super intelligence, ourselves will be taken out because it'll be beyond the comprehension of any human being on the planet. And nobody will be able to control it. The Pentagon will not be able to control it. So the best thing to do at the moment is to expose the Chinese Communist regime and get the whole world to point at them and say, hey, you guys are pretty sinister. You caused this disease and you've been killing people with organs. And the other things that we want to talk about later, that's going to be solved in a different way. There's two planes of this.
All right. So ultimately, we look like we're going to have to deal with war with China in the future, and that's been prophesied, and we've got whistleblowers who've talked about that as well. Now I'm going to continue through your book really quickly, and just if there's anything that you want to stop and talk about, just tell me. So I just want people to be aware that what it contains. So I'm just showing people these pages of what is in essence the inside of your book, the table of contents. All right. So you've got China and Iran. Now, one of the things is the war with Iran. So they were trying to have a war with Iran for a long time. It never really got off the ground all that well. But the bottom line is they were really trying to get to China through Iran. So I don't know if the tactic has changed and they decided to go directly at China because this virus is also focusing all the people's attention on China, right? So it provides a service in that sense.
Positive.
Okay. And so that's what we're dealing with here. And so I just want to say that's in your book. Organ trafficking. For some reason, that's a really strange area to have such a focus on. And I just wonder, is there any detail about organ trafficking? I know you talk about clones as well. What is it about organs that the Chinese are so focused on collecting?
There's multiple levels of it. Currently for the future and needed for other things, but they're also trying to build organs as well. But, a lot of the Chinese are unhealthy and they wouldn't donate. Like in the late 90s and early 2000s, 3,000 donations a year in a population of over 1 billion people. They were superstitious, so they wouldn't want to donate. So they first they went in 1987, they passed a law. And they said, if you have a political prisoner, it's a property of the state. You can kill them with organs. So they went after Uyghurs because Uyghurs were not Chinese or a mix. They're a Turkic tribe, which is a mix of Persian, Arab, Chinese, and maybe a little bit of something else. So then they went after Tibetans because Tibetans weren't racially Chinese, and they were killing them for the organs. Then they went after Christians, which were generally Chinese. And then in 1999, the Falun Dafa was persecuted because that grew to 100 million people. And they approached the founder, Mr. Li Hongzhi, and said, hey, you have this practice. It's increasing people's immunity. They're becoming healthier. 3 principles, Jen Shan Ren, truth, compassion, forbearance. Why don't we create a membership on the Communist Party and charge money? And then Mr. Li Hongzhi says, well, no. This is for the people. I don't watch people. I don't follow them. I don't know how many members. I can't charge money. They got scared. They banned it. They slanted the practice. Put people in camps. They wouldn't say who their parents were. But then I realized these people have really, really good organs because they don't smoke, drink, or do drugs, and they're doing qigong and on these exercises that were similar to maybe like what you would say the Kundalini or maybe Christ consciousness, but they were really healthy because it's also like yoga. So 2006, David Kilgour and David Manis, former Canadian Secretary of State and Nobel nominee, High Down Council David Manis, they concluded that 41,000 transplants were unaccounted for and you have 3,000 donations, and that's only what they count. 2016, they do an update, and they're like, well, no, there's 60 to 100,000 transplants that's missing every year per year since 2001, 15 years straight. That's like 1.5 million transplants. The whole world was flying in, and China had like on their websites, hey, fly in, 40-hour wait time, give you a heart, liver, kidney, $150,000 cash. People were flying in from America, from Canada, from Europe, Israel, Africa, India, the whole entire world, even Japan. And they're getting organs on standby. And when it didn't work, they had a backup, second and third organ. How do you do that unless you have people locked up in camps or in the hospital somewhere? And then the military is helping you. The police is helping you. They're quarantining you and they're killing you for the organs. So even corneas, they would have one person, when they kill, they had a bunch of people on standby because each part of the body will go to a different person. They can make over $1 million on one person alone, even more than that. So the White House passed a resolution. The Congress in 2016 or 17, Resolution 343, condemning the persecution of the Falun Dafa and all other minority groups and Christians, and organ harvesting, live organ harvesting. So their work and other people's work led into this, and I housed them twice during my doctoral and my Homeland Security Masters as well, and local news networks, when they reported these conferences they would pull them the next day because China will call. So China, basically through getting surveillance technology from Google and these big tech companies, were able to hunt people and locate them. Then they use biotech companies and big pharma and even our doctors to get training and the needed goods to be able to farm these people and kill them for their organs. That's step 2. Step 3 was the World Bank gave them money, our businesses gave them money, we bought made in China goods. 3. So you have people contributing from buying made in China goods to people being slaughtered for the organs massively.
Incredible.
You have companies.
Incredible.
You have companies doing business, and a lot of companies knew this was going on. President Obama knew this was going on. He was given hand-delivered papers. He was given briefs by the CIA. He was given briefs when he came into the White House, and George Bush knew about this. I didn't put him in a lawsuit because, he got incoming from Iraq, and he couldn't do it. He would have done something about it. But he got incoming from Iraq. But Obama, he let us do business with China. So, and President Trump was trying to cut that. He was trying to expose these guys for what they are. And first of all, he had to hold the money. That's why I said the trade war was never about trade war in my books. He's smart. If he goes, hey, you guys are organ harvesting people, you have millions in camps as well, or tens of millions, he's getting all this income from the left. China will do something that crashed our economy, and we'll be sitting in our homes. And then he'll not only lose his presidency, but then the whole country will collapse and everybody would be ruled by China because the people like Obama and Clinton and Biden, they're dumb. I'm sorry, they're really, really dumb. And Pelosi, they're really stupid people. So they don't see these things, and they endanger everybody, including Schiff, the skinny neck guy. I'm being rude on your show, but I've never been this rude ever before, and I think I should, because these are the type of people that kind of ruin the world. So President Trump has been trying to do a really good job, and he's done a really good job. But look what happened to him, and even now, if he got bogged down, China did this to us. But it's also we did it. It's our doing business. So it's not just the left. A lot of conservatives as well have done business with China, knowingly that this stuff was going on.
Okay. Thank you for that, and that's great. Now I'm going to move you along here, and we're going to look at this other thing that's this other page, and I'm going to put this on here because it has to do with clones. So cloning is a big area, and a lot of people don't know anything about it. And there are certain people out there that have tried to expose it, and there's lots of suspicion that, for example, there are clones of various leaders and so on. Russia's been involved in this for many years, as you may know. So what do you have to say about clones in your book? Is there any kind of key area you can talk about? I've got your page here talking about the corporations and various things, but they're involved in clones. So how successful do you think cloning is?
They've been able to clone. So that's my answer to you. Some places have been able to clone. So, but it's not available for the public, right? But the danger of that is that the digital. So if you believe in a soul, if you have a soul and the human body gets a soul, then you have a soul. But if a clone will not have a soul, that means it can get hacked. Something else can come inside it, and it can be 10 times more faster than the average person, and endangers the world. So that's why clones aren't good for anybody. But if there's not clones, then there's machines. It's not machines, robotics. It's not that. It's a disease. That's why I put the book.
Then what are you aware of the Michael Crichton book called Prey? I should say you say you don't read a lot, but Prey was all about how nanobots can actually create a human being, any shape, whatever you want. And then they can all break apart and fly off like birds, basically, after they do that and go become another human. I mean, in other words, so we have nanobots that are able to also replicate us, in essence, even temporarily. Yes. You aware of that?
I never heard the guy write his book, but yes, 100%. But you would need, any human being can actually do that if they open the 10,000 energy lines in their body, change the structure of their DNA, and even the composition will make up the cells. If this I've read, and I've had some experience. I can't do these things. I can't transform myself. I was never able to do that. But you can change the composition of your cells, and you can disappear. But that's nothing. There are powers that are even above that. But to break that down, you need two things. You open all these channels and you put something in those cells by yourself. You actually extract this stuff that belongs in a different dimension, not regulated by our planetary system. And this will require you to be able to develop quantum inside of you, or technology can do it by breaking through the quantum dimension and pulling these things here at the microscopic realm, still the molecular realms, but generated by the atomic realms. When that happens, then you can actually, you can make somebody and then reform.
All right.
So that's the structure of it. But it can be done by the human body itself. A human being can do that. But you'd have to put down all human emotions. You just can't be at the plane of a human being.
All right. Well,
what we see
that's
today.
very, very interesting. Okay, now I want to ask you about the AI rape mind, you call it. What are you talking about when you're talking about the AI rape mind?
That's kind of a little bit too much for me to say at the moment. It's too deep. It would take an hour to explain. So I'd rather pass on that one. Maybe on our second interview, I'm going to have something come out in a couple of days I've been working on for 8 months. And it's going to explain something in a way that's never been explained before, I think, hopefully. But it's just we're going on all these topics that is a 10,000 page book you're talking about. And we've been talking, I think, a little bit over an hour, and it just can't. If I go too much in these things, it just.
Okay. I appreciate that. Can I ask you one last question, and then I will let you go. I know I've kept you longer, but Cyrus, it's so fascinating to talk to you, and I just I want to ask you so many questions. So. You're talking about the neural circuits that are digitally reprogrammed like a replicating virus while connected to the human biodigital network, which sounds like basically the human biodigital network is AI. It sounds to me, but you can, clarify that. So when you're talking about that, that's basically rewiring us. Isn't that correct?
That's rewiring you, but to explain those two sentences, it would take a few hundred pages. But one of the components of it is an AI, of course. But it's not describing the whole AI process. The replicating process can describe AI, but there's things that's beyond AI. AI and these questions you want to ask me about, they're actually, to other people, seem high level and great, but there's other components, higher levels at stake as well. These little things you're talking about, this AI stuff, is actually low level.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so are you aware of gaseous beings? Because Mark Richards talks about gaseous beings that protect us. They are in the vicinity of Saturn, for example. Are you aware of that?
We can't see. A lot of people can't see what's around them And there are a lot of things around us that are in digital form, and people can't see or sense it. And you shouldn't try to see or sense it, because you don't know what you're seeing, what you sense, and they can connect with you, and not supposed to connect with you. It's the way it is at the moment, not supposed to. So that's just one plane. And then there's beings, but then there's so many different levels. But what I'm trying to say, everyone, you sitting at home, you are more special. We are more special than these things that you want to connect with. We are actually more powerful, our innate selves, than these things that we're afraid of, want to connect with. We shouldn't want to connect with them, actually. There is a plan that's set in. And the old plan was to, have some kind of destruction and, goes to Iran, and the rapture is shown. That was the old plan. But then there's other things that are involved. And what's required of us is to become really ethical, moral people. But to directly answer your question of replicating software, yes, an AI system or something else can replicate within the human biological network. So within your biology, within your neural networks, and within the human network, which is something else as well. It's just so many interconnected things, and it involves 5G and 6G and 7G and what I call the AI global biological network. And that's got 3 different levels, and there's other things as well. So
all right. Are you also talking about discarnate entities, that sort of thing, what some people call demons, etc.? Yes. So there's that realm as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, but they're nothing. We shouldn't be afraid of that, because, like I said, you sitting here talking to me, you're a very special person, and your audience listening in, maybe someone got angry at me, but they're very special people. Every person, just because, maybe I said something and someone's like, wow, that guy's full of it, or maybe he has these, whatever, but still nothing. Just because someone has a smartphone in their head doesn't make him wise. If I can do certain things a lot of people can't do, it doesn't make me anything special. What makes us special is our goodness in our hearts, and for us to be good people. So no matter what kind of power you have, it's really nothing. They're all innate abilities that exist in every single one of us, because we were made in the image of God. So every single human being sitting at home today or around the world is really special, and they should all be cherished. Every single human being. Your family, your non-friends, whatever they are. Our innate nature is to be good. Our innate nature is to be kind. Our innate nature is to be harmonious with everything, not to lie and steal and cheat and outdo other people. And that's what destroys the whole world. So that's my message. It's all these things I'm talking about because I'm trying to get to a point. But yes, do we have huge dangers coming? I saw extinction patterns in the next 20 years and huge events that are coming soon. And they came with this, it's not just this virus, there's something else going to happen, then something else afterwards, and so on. But if we have faith and also repent and improve ourselves, then we have a good chance for a good future. So yes, the universe is very big. There's trillions and trillions of universes and parallel universes, trillions and trillions of planets and dimensions. And that's just like a little bit, still nothing. So grand. But don't forget, we are very special. You sitting home, don't forget what I said, and you as a host, you are special. Every single human being sitting today is special. So don't forget that, and don't fear anything.
All right.
Try to work together.
Okay. Thank you, Cyrus. It's very lovely to talk to you, and I appreciate all your information. I appreciate your work, and I hope that we can bring you back on the show. I'm very interested in the announcement you want to make in 1 or 2 days or whenever it is. So let's basically pin that and say that you will come back. Is that right?
Yeah, I will come back. Please follow me on Twitter, CYRUSAPARSA1. If you want to donate, if 10,000 people listen to it, $5, that would just help a lot. I think I've got about 15 grand or 10 grand in donations the past few months, And to go after these companies, which I'm not going to do anymore, I don't think, because this pandemic, I was trying to prevent things, and it didn't happen because I didn't get backed. So if I can just get retweets on something that's going to come out soon, and I will come back on your show, and I want to apologize to you if I was a little bit strong or rude in certain aspects. It wasn't intended for you, but it was intended for the people who have been, still undermining me behind the scenes. And I'm doing this not for myself. I don't care about the fame. If 7 billion people like me or dislike me, it doesn't move me at all. I just did it in altruism when I felt everybody is in danger. So if you look at what I did, and these 1,000 companies I investigated, and all these things I did, had a purpose behind it. And I'm just one person. I'm not no God or something. I'm just a person, and just like you. And
Sure.
if we put our heart into something, we can do great things. And I need help. Without you, I am nothing. Someone doesn't tweet me. Someone didn't donate. Someone didn't help me fix my lighting because everyone got scared and left away, or do these edits. I wouldn't be able to do anything. So some things that my brain can't figure out, because I do things I have to explain to you later because there's just too much. But I want to thank you for having me come on your show, and you can get the book. I just recommend getting Artificial Intelligence to Humanity, download it directly from the link that you have, and on her website, or you can come to my website, theaiorganization.com. I have videos on the website called the AI Organization channel on YouTube. I've got 11 of those, and I didn't realize that I could say so much on your show. And on the next show, I'm going to say things that are really, really explosive and very explosive. And maybe you'll want to have me come back on in a few days really fast. So
Okay,
we'll see. Thank
that
you.
sounds good. Now, I just want to say one thing to you. There is, people are saying, a financial meltdown coming, and that's even more than what I guess is already happening. So I did, I also want, if you come back on the show, that we can also talk about, because the financial AI, the financial aspect of the AI is a very big one, obviously, and we haven't really touched on that. Do you have knowledge in this area?
Yes, I also put that it syncs in with the financial system. I also so in my book, I put into the digital ID. I show the future, like this whole Bill Gates thing. It's already in the book. It the steps. It shows you, as I said, is present, emerging, and future threats, step by step, even to the virus, then the digital ID. Even the book, if you look at it, it's like almost in sequence. So. So you should not hook up the finance system to an AI system. You can't have a digital currency. You can't have this crypto. That's when you get enslaved. You have to have physical cash and physical gold, because when you have a digital currency, then it's not with you. It can be taken away anytime for any reason by a government, a company, or it can just be hacked, or the internet can come down, whatever it may be. And everyone's, oh, what do I do? What do I do? So we have to go back to how we were designed, unless everybody on the planet is like Zeus and has supernatural powers and don't have to eat, or maybe basically like angels. So we are made in the image of God. That means in that realm, if you're a Catholic, you have a light body. If you're Christian, you ascend and you go back to Christ's world. If you're fallen alpha, you ascend, you enlighten. If you're Tibetan, so on and so on. Everybody has the same goals, right? So, but we as a human race, we can't make everything digital. And these people sitting right now, sorry, I want to be working next to President Trump and advise him, because these people working right now in the AI department, they grew up in this PhD stuff. They grew up as engineers. They have the really, I'm sorry, 3 or 4% they use, and they're endangering everybody because they look at the science as just part and part that makes everyone's life better. But no, it threatens everybody. Look at the virus. And that's the first thing. The next steps is 1,000 times more dangerous than this virus. This virus is actually nothing. Well, no, it can kill a lot of people. But these people, the tech guys and the PhD guys, they cannot be sitting and being advisors or the CTOs of the AI departments in the White House. They cannot be getting information from AI companies and big tech companies that can form their knowledge and make the AI regulations, because they don't have the wisdom or intelligence or the understanding of what is really artificial narrow, general, and super intelligent, how it interconnects with everything, how it takes everybody out. And they endanger every single one of you. All your family members sitting at home are being endangered by the interconnection of this media, these big tech companies, and these AI regulators.
Okay, now we need to talk. Okay, next time we need to talk also about the Internet of Things and how AI can actually jump from, your toaster to your this to your that, and people don't understand that aspect either. So they think that things are, if they're separate, if they're off the internet, unplugged from the wireless and so on, they're safe, and they're not safe. I already know that.
No, they're not.
So we'll talk about that next time as well. Sorry that we didn't have time for everything, but it is a big list of subjects that you really deal with. So thank you again, Cyrus. Have a great day, and everyone else, thanks for being here, and take care.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.